Welcome back, guys, to the start of a series where we will be previewing some of the best college football teams in the country this year. And the first team we're going to be previewing, the favorite or maybe second favorite to win the national championship this year, the Texas Longhorns. So, starting off with Texas, we're going to talk about last year for a bit. Their expectations were bigger or the same, if not bigger, than last year. I mean, they were preseason ranked number one, and then they had the hyped up week one against Ohio State, lost that, started the season really slow, had an ugly loss to Florida, barely beat teams like Kentucky and Mississippi State, ended up losing to Georgia in a game. The score did not indicate the game, it was much closer than the score indicated, but they ended the season off pretty good. They beat Arkansas, they beat Texas A&M, they beat Michigan in a bowl game. I know people don't like to say bowl games matter, but Michigan was a young team, so that was kind of Michigan's team this year, even though they weren't properly coached at the time. So, what did Texas struggle with last year? Well, one thing they obviously struggled with was the run game. So, what do? They go to the portal, they get Hollywood Smothers from North Carolina State, they get Raleek Brown from Arizona State, formerly of USC. Um, so that hopefully will fix their run game. We don't know for sure. We still have to see the offense out there, but another big part of the run game is the offensive line, obviously. And we look at the offensive line. Last year was really young. You were replacing guys like Kelvin Banks. This year you got Trevor Goodsby coming back, who I think is going to be a kind of big time first rounder this year. You have a transfer, Lawrence Seymour, Melvin Siani, and then a guy, Brandon Baker, who started as a freshman actually for Texas, and he got moved to guard. And people in that kind of camp are expecting a big year out of him. And this could be a year where he goes to the NFL draft if he has a good enough year. And also, something I want to talk about, which is probably one of the most talked about transfers of this year, Cam Coleman, transfer receiver from Auburn. He could have gone anywhere he want, chose Texas, which is really interesting because Texas has a guy named Ryan Wingo, who I think at most schools could be a number one receiver. He was banged up last year. But Cam Coleman is established number one. If Jeremiah Smith wasn't a thing, Cam Coleman would by far be the best receiver in college football. Cam Coleman's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft next year. And we all know he's going to be good, but I really do want to talk about Ryan Wingo. Because he had a decent year last year. He was just really injured. He had a really good year. Had pulling up the stats right now, 54 catches, 834, 7 touchdowns. Um, as a sophomore in he played pretty much every game, but like I said, was banged up. Um, and yeah, so hopefully this year, number two receiver, not going against the number one corner, so he'll have a huge year. And also, I do want to talk about Arch Manning, the most scrutinized player in all of college football last year. So Arch Manning, I mean, if you look at his stats, he had a really good year. Like I believe he had like 30 around 30 touchdowns. Um like yeah, he had 26 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and in addition to that, he had whatchamacallit, he had I believe yeah, 9 rushing or sorry, 2 rushing touchdowns as well. Wait, no, sorry, 10 rushing touchdowns as well. Sorry, I misread that. So he's like a Manning with legs. And if he has another good, if, and I think last year he had a better year than people gave him credit for. Really played good down the stretch. If I'm just reading some kind of stats, against Mississippi State had over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Vanderbilt, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Georgia, 250, a touchdown interception. Arkansas, 389, 4 touchdowns. Texas A&M, 179 touchdown, no interceptions. We had a really good running game that game. And then Michigan had a very good game, 222 touchdowns, then 155 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 60-yard rush. So, I mean, he started off the season kind of tough, but he hadn't really played much. And now, he finally gets to play. He gets a second full season under his belt. Steve Sarkisian, one of the most notorious quarterback gurus in the country. Now, moving on to the defensive side of the ball. So, couple guys I want to talk about. First guy I want to talk about, a transfer, Ian Jeffrod. He's a nose tackle. He's gonna clog up that defensive line. He's gonna be a difference maker alongside Colin Simmons. arguably the best defensive player in the country. I'd probably say so. Colin Simmons, as of right now, is a top 3 to 5 pick in next year's draft. Just an overall insane player. And the secondary, so I want to talk about the secondary. A lot of veteran guys coming back. You got Cade Phillips, who's a sophomore now. Jelani McDonald, who's a senior. Xavier Filmasale, redshirt sophomore. Grayson Littleton, sophomore. And they got a transfer, Bo Masco, who's like a junior. It's a veteran. It's going to be a very veteran defense, along with the new addition of Will Muschamp. And I know, people are like, well, Sarkisian fired Pete because, he as a scapegoat, which I could I could see because I didn't really see a huge problem with the Texas defense. Yeah, I mean, letting up 35 to Georgia isn't great. Um, but I like Will Muschamp a lot. He's coaching the SEC for what feels like 30 years now. And I do think he's gonna help the defense, but like something that is not talked about enough is the first year of a defensive coordinator in the system. You look at guys like Jim Null. His first year at Ohio State, 2022, their defense wasn't great. It was good, but not great. And even like Alabama, Pete Golding, first year kind of struggled a bit. Same thing when he got to Ole Miss his first year. 2023 wasn't the greatest defensive year from the Rebels. And then they got, 2024, they got, all these good transfers. But yeah, so that's something I just wanted to bring up about, first year defensive coordinators. Excuse me. And yeah, but I think the defense is really good. I think the strength of this defense will come from the defensive line with Colin Simmons and Ian Jeffrau, and also Lance Jackson too. I think could be a very good breakout player. And I do think Anthony Hill's a big loss for the Longhorns. Anthony Hill went to the draft this year, third round pick to the Titans, I believe. It was either second or third round. But yeah, no, that I think he was a very underrated player, and I think they might feel the loss of that. But now let's preview the schedule. So going to the schedule, the Longhorns, in my opinion, have the toughest schedule in the country this year. So kind of a game by game thing, and we're going to do worst case scenario and best case scenario. So I mean, their season really starts Saturday, September 12th, when they play the Ohio State Buckeyes. I mean, that's a 50-50 game right now. I'd probably lean Ohio State. And then just 2 weeks after that, they go on the road to Neyland, which in my opinion is probably the toughest place to play in college football, maybe outside the Swamp, and then Death Valley at night, which the Longhorns will play Death Valley at night. And they got the Red River game against Oklahoma, but if I'm being honest, Sark has kind of dominated Oklahoma in his time at Texas. And then they got Florida, who we don't know about Florida, Ole Miss, which is going to be a tough game. That's going to be one of those like underrated top 10 matchups. Like I could see it being like a number 3 versus number 10 matchup, something like that. And they have Mississippi State, then they go on the road to Missouri, who I think they're kind of my dark horse this year outside of Kentucky, and then on the road at Death Valley, rivalry game against Arkansas, and then Texas A&M. And also the schedule is courtesy of FBS schedules. Leave the link in the description. So I mean, they have a lot of losable games, which is why we're going to bring up the worst case scenario. Um, Worst case scenario, in my opinion, is 5-7. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near 5-7, but if we're talking 2024 Florida State, this is what I think. So, worst case scenario, it would include losses to Ohio State, losses to Tennessee, not too surprising, losses to Oklahoma, not, I mean, I would be surprised by that. Losses to a good Ole Miss team, lost to on the road at Missouri, lost to LSU, and then lost to A&M. So I'm saying all their losable games, in my opinion, they got 7 losable games this year, and this is assuming they lose all of them, which I don't think they will. Um, but like I said, it's a tough schedule, and we'll go to like what I think's gonna happen. But we'll go to the best case scenario. I think 12-0 undefeated is the best case scenario for Texas. This is just purely off their talent roster, and if everyone hits, like if Arch Manning continues to develop, if both their running backs are like really good, if they have the best receiving duo in the country, if their O line drastically improves, and if Will Muschamp like makes the defense like a top 10 defense in year one, I think they can go 12-0. It will be very tough. And I don't think there's any other team in the country that can go 12-0 with this schedule besides Texas. It doesn't mean I think they're going to go 12-0, but I do think I do think it's more likely they go 12-0 than 5-7. I'll put it that way. And then now for what I think the most likely record is. I think most likely they're going to go 10-2. So I think the most likely losses are probably to Ohio State and LSU, maybe A&M as well. But yeah, like I said, I think it's more likely they go 12-0 than 5-7. But 10-2 gets Texas in the playoffs. I mean, this could be my national championship pick. I don't know who my pick is going to be yet, but don't be surprised if I pick them to win the national championship. Um, but this is, I mean, by far the most talented team in the whole country this year. I think the most expensive team as well. But yeah, 10-2, most likely scenario for the Texas Longhorns. This is the preview. I try to make it short and fast for you guys so you guys can listen to it while you're eating or while you're driving to work, something like that. So have a good one. We'll see you guys next time.